Hey everybody, this is Jennifer Langsdale. I'm from Awaken Yoga, and maybe you caught my first two chakra, just sort of crash course chakra psychology selections on the root and sacral chakra. Today I'm going to bring you a short crash course on Manipura chakra, which is located in your solar plexus area. So we're coming on summer. If you're watching this in the present moment, it's mid-May. So solar plexus energy is starting to rise up. We're in that personal power fire mode. So when we talk about chakras, we can talk about elements as well. So we'll start with this one's element. Its element is fire. And fire is very transformative and very mutable. So when we think about this chakra, it's not a stable place. It's not meant to be a stable place. It's meant to be a state of action, right? So if you think about the physicality of the space, it's located inside your abdomen area. There's a lot of initiation of taking in food and then digesting it down, through the esophagus. And I'm not great at anatomy, but then, we get into those soft organs that kind of live right below where the ribs meet, where your solar plexus is. So they're kind of protecting part of the kidneys and stomach, and it's not really as much intestine as much as it is like kidney, stomach, pancreas, spleen. So, liver. These are like our filtration systems in the body. These are things that are working to keep our blood clean and our body clean and rid our body of toxins. So with that being said, the element of fire can fluctuate, right? So sometimes we're burning really, really hot, and we have to be because maybe we are digesting food, or maybe we are running a marathon, or maybe we are outside hauling dirt and gardening at this time of year. We need that internal fire to physically activate us. But then if you also think about the motivation energy behind fire, the creative energy behind fire, and how we need, did you ever hear that term, pardon my French, but shit or get off the pot, light a fire underneath your ass, that kind of stuff? It's all true, right? Where we have to really literally pick ourselves up and get going. So some of the psychology of this space is really linked to self-responsibility. Okay, taking action when we need to, when it requires us to say, hey, this is my stuff, I own this, and I'm going to take care of it. And a lot of times is we like to pass responsibility on to other people. I mean, this is a huge time right now for us right now as Westerners. Everybody wants to point fingers and put responsibility on everybody else. But if we all just hone in and take responsibility for ourselves, we are 100% responsible for our 50% of every relationship, every partnership that we are in, whether it's work-related, friend-related, intimacy related. But we are 100% responsible solely for ourselves. So self-responsibility is a big deal. And sometimes we feel responsible not only for ourselves, but for everyone and everything. And that could be the other end of the spectrum. So you have someone over here who's like too afraid to initiate action and do anything and take responsibility in their lives. So they tend to feel powerless, right? And we're working about personal power in this chakra. And then you have the other end of the spectrum in its extreme, where somebody feels that they must be responsible for everyone and everything. And I do find that happens a lot, especially my female students, especially in my working mother type clientele. And that take charge attitude is good for getting stuff done. We have to get stuff done, but we have to also realize that we're in a total deflation of self-care. We think that by buying ourselves things or constantly flooding our schedules with things to do is sort of like self-care, because maybe we're caring for everyone. It's okay, I got 3 kids, so one's going to this practice and one's going to this practice and one's going to this practice. But is anybody really happy about it, right? So what's the motivation behind all this responsibility that you're taking on that's not really yours? And finding that middle ground. Okay, I have a family, or I have a job that requires this, but what exactly is my true middle path of what I'm responsible for, and what can kind of be let go of, right? So fire chakra, responsibility, okay, personal power. So this is our personal power center. So personal power is a really big deal because we tend to give our power away. So in order for us to really be successful as human beings and not human doings, we have to learn how to not give our power away. Okay. So oftentimes there'll be an exercise I do with clients where we'll say, okay, put someone into the ring of who you feel powerless. Okay, and a lot of times it has, unfortunately, and it's very sad, but a lot of times it has to deal with either your immediate family, okay, mother, father, brother, sister, or your boss. And this is like the archetype where we just throw away our power. And depending on how we're raised and depending on how our families instilled us in the world to either be in charge of our own power, which meant at some point in our lives we talked back to our parents and they respected us for it, or put us in our place, but also coached us on how to communicate effectively in our place of power. So it's not just from anger, because this spot really manifests anger like that. And we know anger is like this short-fused sensation or feeling that sometimes very, very positively moves us forward in our lives. Like we have to get angry sometimes, but we don't know how to communicate that anger in a way that is effective. So effective anger is very, very important. So when it comes to power and feeling powerless, so let's say it was your boss, right, who is making you feel rendered powerless. Well, number one, no one can take your power away from you except for you, right? We're the ones who give away our power. So we have to become that receiver to take the power back. So we might say, let's say your boss's name was John Smith. We'll be very basic here. So, John, you have no power here. I am taking my power back would be an exercise I would have someone do while visualizing this person in their lives. So it would be sit tall and from your solar plexus say this. So a lot of times people will be like very deflated. So if you even, partially can see my posture, you get very deflated and you're like, hey, I'm taking my power back. Like that doesn't make sense. Sit tall, be tall, let this space puff up a little bit. Okay. So-and-so, you have no power here. I'm taking my power back is a very direct enforcing action. So when we're talking to someone and, conversation escalates or, sorry, I had to pause my audio because I was taking my power back against my children, telling them to finish doing their chore and that I was working. So I was really using my solar plexus a second ago. So in order to deliver that message, it has to come up, from your guts. Right? Do you ever, hear the saying, I've got a gut feeling? That's where it comes from. A lot of stuff is happening inside the space. It's a crossing section of the body. We're swallowing stuff. We're digesting stuff. We're exuding digestive fire and internal fire and subtle body fire to put us forward, in life, right? And to be able to process and to digest life as it comes towards us. So in order to do that, we have to learn to take our power back. We have to learn to not surrender our power. Now, on the other end, okay, for some reason, the boss and the parents come up a lot for people where they feel powerless. We've got to learn to balance that too, right? So maybe you're the pushy person. Maybe you're the boss or you're the parent now, and people are feeling powerless around you. And that usually is linked to control. There's a lot of work to be done in the second chakra. We talked about control in the last session. So that controlling nature is really not serving you, right? So we're holding on too tight to the horses on the chariot. What happens, right? They're eventually, those harnesses are going to break and the horses are going to split and the wagon's going to fall apart. So we have to understand that once we relinquish control and we surrender control, we can better off harness our personal power, okay? The demon of this chakra is shame. Shame tells us that we have been bad, right? So shame is very much tied to our addictive behaviors. So usually food, drugs, alcohol, sex. So that's, and then control too can be a bit addicting too. But let's say you were very addicted to running in an unhealthy way, run. And instead of the running aiding your body and healing your body, you essentially are hurting your body, by continuously tearing muscles or ligaments or burning off too much food energy and not taking enough in. There has to be this balance, so that way when the fire needs to burn, it burns, it does its job, and then it simmers down into a little ember. So with shame, we tell ourselves, in the second chakra with guilt, we said, okay, I've done something bad and I feel a little bad. But in shame, we say, I am bad. Okay. And a lot of times as children, we misunderstand that where we are shamed, for doing something wrong. And we're like, oh, sorry. But it happens when it's happening repetitiously over and over again. And children aren't getting that positive feedback because this is, I haven't even said the good stuff yet, a very happy place to be in the body once we get it working agreeable. But when we're shamed, it capsizes, right? The fire goes out, we're very deflated, the shoulders come forward, we hide the abdomen, or we superpower inflate the abdomen. Nobody's going to hurt me, right? I got my big shield on. So when somebody's all solar plexus, it's real hard to get inside into the heart and to the other areas that really balance the chakra system out. So to continue on with our conversation and closing this out is the positive part. So with the solar plexus being the fire center of the body, the name Manipura means lusterous gem. So it is a place of enchantment. It's a place of happiness. It's our joy. It's our vitality. And most important, it's our life purpose stuff. So life purpose energy is really a unique quality of living that we need to understand as human beings. Again, always reminding you, we're not human doings anymore. We're human beings once we're graduating into this level of understanding in the body. So what's my life purpose is probably a question that anybody who has sat for 5 seconds in meditation, we tend to wonder, what is our life purpose? So life purpose energy is very important, especially when you hit a crossroads in your life where you really don't, you feel uncomfortable, you don't feel settled, and there's a need for growth, right? That unsettling is really okay as long as you can go into it with that understanding that growth is possible. So Manipura chakra is the perfect place to ignite that fire of change and vitality and transformation and energy and strength. So what happens is if we have a very deflated third chakra, we will tend to ignite that fire and literally become very the peacock showing off its feathers, right? So some people might become very angry, and I'll say that positive anger, like letting out emotions and things that they haven't for a long time or if ever, and they need to. Sometimes it might be in the way of, oh, I'm going to go, get my master's degree, so I'm going to take all these classes, and we kind of go into it head first. And sometimes that ends on a good note or a bad note. So when there's a lot of fire present, when there hasn't been fire before, we have to be aware. I don't even want to say cautious because that kind of gets people in that whole controlling mode, because solar plexus is about taking risks as long as it's not harming, right? It's not going to harm you and it's not going to harm me. It's a risk's a risk. It's good. I mean, I took a risk 15 years ago becoming a yoga teacher, right? And here I am now. So, remember with the solar plexus energy, that fire ignites and it's wonderful and that's what takes us through, but we have to balance out the other chakras in order to take over for the solar plexus when the solar plexus is a little tired, and the other chakras have to assist, right? So we can't be always in our solar plexus energy because then we're disconnected in other ways. So this is sort of just a snapshot of solar plexus. I'm trying to think of if there's any other super important things I'd like to cover about it. As far as the dis-eases of the solar plexus, like I said before, we're talking about our cleaning system in the body with the pancreas and the liver and kidneys. There's, these areas of excretion in a way, not like in the first chakra, where we have the lower body excretion, but we have that inside. We want to keep these organs really healthy and really vital, and these are organs that can hold on to a lot of anger, and they can hold on to a lot of almost like poisoning in the body, right? So we want to make sure we eat well we're keeping this part of the body clean. And if you do have a lot of unharnessed anger, if you do have a lot of unrepented anger, you can very well feel a sense of dis-ease or illness in this area in the body. If you don't trust your instincts and your gut feelings, if you don't explore that need to explore your life purpose stuff. So remember, it's a place of action, but you can't always be in action, right? There has to be a place of rest too. So I hope this was helpful. I do love exploring the third chakra with people. It's very much an interesting place for a lot of people, especially if you do feel that deflation in this space. And once you feel that igniting fire to get your power back. And like I said, do that exercise. Put yourself in an imaginary room with somebody and be, hey, so-and-so, you have no power here and I'm taking my power back. It's really a powerful exercise to exude that. Or just telling yourself consistently, I'm taking my power back, I'm taking my power back, I'm taking my power back. Especially when it comes in terms of justice, right? If somebody's not doing just by you, being in that space, that energetic space of taking your power back is an incredible feeling. And at first it's a little fearful because it feels like it's foreign territory. But remember, in all these chakras that we're going through, there's a lot of foreign territory that is to be explored, and it can be very scary, but that's just part of the process. Trust your process, continue forth with it, and be brave, right? Solar plexus is about being brave. So good luck to you, and good luck with that self-responsibility, and enjoy claiming your fire and claiming your path. Summer's coming. It's a great time to rejoice in the sun and to exude that fire energy. And since we have to be outside a lot right now, enjoy having bonfires and things like that, and enjoy, the ritual of writing things down and tossing it into the fire, or just doing it mentally is kind of a nice way to cleanse yourself, okay? Fire can be very cleansing, in a different way than water, right? It burns through things. So it's very, very symbolic. So work with that energy, and may you all be well. Namaste.